Hey guys, in this video we are taking this disgusting Ford F-350 behind me, and we're not just gonna strip it and clean it to the maximum level, but we're also applying a completely new ceramic coating to the paint. Now, I've never actually shown this ceramic coating on the channel before, nor have I ever used it before, so we're gonna do an in-depth review, but that is coming a little bit later. We're gonna break up this ceramic series into 4 different videos. Video number 1 is preparation, video number 2 is stage 1 paint correction, 3 is stage 2 paint correction, and 4 is finally not only the application of the ceramic coating, but also the big reveal. Now, in video 4, when we reveal the ceramic coating, we're also going to be giving away one of the ceramic bottles for free, so make sure you guys stay tuned. But in this video, I'm giving away a gallon size of the iron decontaminant from Renegade. Chemicals like iron removers are a lot of times kind of difficult to get your hands on for a good price, so I want to make sure that we do a giveaway of one of those more expensive gallons, and it's something that we are actually using in this video. So guys, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into preparing this paint for the ceramic coating. Alright guys, as you check out the before condition of this big F-350, you're going to see that it is covered in a little bit of road salt and surface dirt. That's because it actually just snowed here in Middle Tennessee. Now, before we get started, I want to make sure you guys go below in the YouTube description box and grab my free guide to starting your auto detailing business for under $500. I lay out in that guide the top 10 tools and products that you need to successfully begin your auto detailing business without wasting time and, more importantly, money on tools and products that don't work. Go below in the YouTube description box and grab that free guide to jumpstart your business. Now, I want to give you a little bit of context as you are looking at this Ford F-350 jacked up, awesome truck. This is a client's vehicle that is new to him. It is not a new truck, but he did just buy it. Because of that, he actually wanted a ceramic coating on it. But a bit of 2 reasons behind that. Number 1, it is a new truck to him, and number 2, he's actually going on a long road trip, going to be gone for several months, and wanted some sort of protection on the truck before he left so that he could maintain it on his own while he is out of town. He actually also has kind of a camper that attaches to the back of it over the bed that he's going to be living out of, and because my wife rocks at interior design, she's going to be designing the interior, and we're going to be filming the whole before and after and transformation of that camper as well. Now guys, I know you are wondering how to enter the giveaway that we're giving away the Renegade iron decontaminant, the iron remover, and we're going to be talking about that in just a bit. But before we do, let's talk about what we're laying out in this video with tools, products, and process. Right now, I am simply degreasing the door jambs. Now, while it is not an interior job, this is a fully exterior job. I want to make sure that I clean the door jambs really thoroughly because we are going to be putting a ceramic coating that I have never shown on the channel before on this truck on day 4. So yes, this is a 4-part video series. This is day 1, preparation and cleaning. And because I'm just not in a rush and I had plenty of time to work on this truck, I wanted to divide it up into very manageable days. So I'm using the Work Stuff detailing brushes in order to agitate the aerosol can foaming super clean degreaser on these door jambs. And then I'm simply using my Sun Joe pressure washer to pressure wash all of that gunk off. Once again, while it is an exterior job, when I'm applying ceramic coatings, I always make sure that I go ahead and clean at a very high level the door jambs, as I would suggest you do as well, simply because they are in essence a part of the paint. And as you're polishing, doing paint correction and wiping things off, dusting things out, you want to make sure that the door jambs are clean because you will be having to dust those out. As far as polishing and dusting is concerned, you're going to want to get a brush in there. You're going to want to make sure that brush doesn't touch any dirt that's going to affect things later on, dusting different parts of the paint that you've already corrected, and all of that good stuff. Now, the first thing I want to do here after the door jambs is simply to clean the bed. Now, the bed is going to be something that I'm jumping in and out of throughout this process, but it's going to be much easier to clean my footprints off at the end if I go ahead and degrease it at a really high level right now and make sure that all that major dirt and dust is gone so that the only thing left by the end of this process are just some simple footprints I can wash off. The only thing I'm going to do here, there's really no detail or specific strategy involved other than you cannot do this effectively without a pressure washer and a really good degreaser. While I love Super Clean Degreaser for this particular application, I have actually found a better go-to degreaser for degreasing truck bed liners, and that is the Renegade Knockout degreaser that comes in their Detailers series. This is not a degreaser that I would use on every other part of the car the way I would use Super Clean. The reason I'm using it here is because it is unbelievably powerful. It's also the reason why I don't use it in every other area that I use Super Clean, because it's so powerful. I do worry about it getting on the paint and staining certain things, but for things like tires, wheel wells, engines, and bed liners, it is absolutely fantastic. I diluted it about 3-to-1 in my pump sprayer, not only to take care of the bed liner, but also, as you can see, to take care of the tire sidewalls and the wheel wells here as well. And the major tool that I'm going to be using here is the drill brush, just the medium stiffness yellow Wilson auto detailing drill brush. Yes, the Wilson auto detailing drill brushes will be linked up in the YouTube description box below, of course, but I always use a drill brush for heavily treaded tires like this for obvious reasons. These big treaded truck tires also tend to have more of that brown grunge, brown film, and sometimes the anti-ozonate that ends up surfacing onto the tire sidewall when you spray the degreaser on it. The only place I'm going to be using the drill brush, and ultimately the only thing I'm going to be agitating between the tire sidewall and the wheel well, is the sidewall, and I'm going to agitate very specific areas of the wheel well when necessary, but more often than not, I'm just going to let the degreaser do the work on the wheel well, let it sit for a bit, and then use the 2000 PSI pressure washer I have to blow everything off. That's the best way to deal with these heavily exposed wheel wells like these. Outside of the drill brushes, I am going to be using the Work Stuff detailing brushes in order to detail out the face of the wheel. Unfortunately, the brake dust has started to corrode on the inner barrel of the wheel, and because of that, I'm not going to be using the Speedmaster brush or any sort of drill brush or anything like that to clean the inner barrel, which does take a little bit of load off of me. But I know what you're thinking, Luke, wouldn't you go ahead and clean that and kind of detail it out because you're putting a ceramic on this vehicle? And normally I would say yes, but because the damage is so severe, the only way to do that would be to remove all 4 of these tires, get some really serious chemicals, some steam cleaning, and very aggressive brushes, and try to do as much as you can. And even after that, you can't necessarily promise that it's going to make it any better. Now, as we go around all 4 tires, you're going to see the same exact process take place. Outside of that, moving on next, we're going to be using the foam cannon and moving to an agitation wash after the pre-foaming and rinsing stage, and I am going to be using, yet again, my Renegade Sudstorm soap cleaner in order to get that done. Now, I want to dive into a little bit of the business aspect of this situation, because one of the things that I get asked all the time is, how do you close customers and how do you actually convince them to get a ceramic on their vehicle? Well, funny enough, as I was preparing this truck even today to get the ceramic coating applied to it in a few days, I had another customer call me on the phone, ask for a ceramic on the new Tesla that he just bought. And there are 2 main questions that almost every new customer asks when they begin the conversation about ceramic coatings. One other thing that you're going to notice many times when new customers call you and they talk about ceramic coatings is they generally did a little bit of research online before they actually called you about ceramic coatings. So when they bring up the conversation, they lead with something like this. Yeah, I'm calling about a ceramic coating, potentially getting it applied to my new Tesla or my big F-350 truck. I did a little bit of research online before calling you, so I understand a little bit about what they are, but I just wanted to ask you exactly what is a ceramic, why do people apply it? Those 2 questions are generally what they ask. What is it? Why do I need it? So I want to give you guys a real life example of what I sound like on the phone when someone calls me and asks about ceramics and they say, what is it? When the customer asks what a ceramic coating is, I will respond with something like this. Yeah, John, awesome. Most people do actually do a little bit of internet research before they call me about it, and so you might want to stop me if I'm boring you or telling you stuff that you already know, but essentially the best way I know to describe a ceramic coating is basically a thin layer of glass that wraps around your entire vehicle, obviously the paint being the major area, but also sometimes the glass and the wheels as well. There are also ceramic coatings available for black trim, but the Tesla doesn't actually generally have black trim on the exterior, so that's not something we'll worry about right now. They're made up of, most of the time, silicon dioxide, which is just glass at a chemical level, right? And sometimes they put titanium oxide within the silicon dioxide coating because it helps the self-cleaning properties. That is essentially what a ceramic coating is for. It's not only going to protect the paint, but it also makes it very easy to clean moving forward. Now, while yes, generally speaking, when people talk about ceramic coatings, they end up bringing up those two things exactly, protective properties and, of course, the self-cleaning properties, I do want to be clear because online in the forums, a lot of times this gets really overestimated, especially in the consumer market when you're not in the detailing world every day. Sometimes people think when they put a ceramic coating on their car, if their ex-girlfriend wants to go and key their big truck, then the ceramic coating will act as some sort of impenetrable force and that key mark won't even go into the paint. That is not at all what a ceramic coating is going to do. Sometimes people overestimate their ability, and that's why I want to bring this to your attention. A lot of times you could picture it like this. If you've ever seen the wrapper, the cellophane wrapper on the outside of a cigarette box, that's about how thin your clear coat is. Really, the purpose of the ceramic coating is to add an extra, more durable, kind of harder clear coat on top of the clear coat. As much as, yes, the ceramic coating protects and it's going to make it easy to clean moving forward, I like to act like ceramic coatings from an expectation point of view are a sacrificial barrier. Yes, they make the paint look amazing. Yes, they're going to make the paint a bit easier to clean and a bit quicker to clean moving forward. And yes, they're going to protect the underlying clear coat. But that third reason is where I set all of my expectation with the ceramic coating. Yes, they break down over time. Yes, they need to be removed over time, but they are generally a multi-year protective coating, which is why they're so attractive, generally around 2 to 3 years when you're talking about the consumer grade coatings. However, like I said, it bears repeating, I like to look at the ceramic coating as a sacrificial barrier that's going to make sure the clear coat or the underlying paint on your car stays looking awesome, feeling awesome for the whole lifetime of the car. So yes, I love ceramic coatings. I apply them all the time. However, when I'm setting expectations regarding what they are and what they will do, it is important to understand they are there to protect primarily. Now, in addition to the what is it question, you inevitably move into why do I need a ceramic coating? And oftentimes after you talk about what a ceramic coating is and you really word it the way I just talked about wording it, the customer kind of inevitably moves into this like logical next question, which is, okay, well, now that I know all about it, what you just said, or now that I know and understand better than from just my own research, is this really something I need? And this is where you have the opportunity in the conversation to build a ton of trust with your customer. So for example, the person that I was on the phone with today regarding his Tesla and wanting a ceramic coating on it, we actually decided that it would be better for him simply to be on my maintenance program rather than actually applying a ceramic coating to the Tesla. So I still got the business out of the call and actually got regular business, and this is going to be basically a $100 bi-monthly customer, or about $150 bi-monthly customer, and we decided that he doesn't need the ceramic coating. So we moved into this question of, do I really need it? And that's when I got to hear about what he was looking for. I started to understand, okay, he wants a vehicle maintained on a regular basis. He wants something that's easy for him to maintain, assuming he needs to maintain it once every couple months or twice a year, anytime that I'm not maintaining it. And in order to get him what he wanted, the ceramic coating was not necessarily the proper route. It made much more sense simply to have me come on a regular basis. Now, to go further down this rabbit hole just a little bit before we move on, you might be wondering, Luke, why would you talk your customer out of getting a ceramic coating? Well, number one, honesty is always the best policy in any business, but particularly in a service-based business. And when you want to maintain a really good reputation, the easiest way to do that is just make a commitment to always doing what you think is best for the customer at any given time, not necessarily hyper maximizing the amount of profit you can make. Of course, yes, I could have made a lot of money in the instant realm, that $1,200 that I would have charged, and talked him out of that. But in another sense, you can think of it as, now I have a customer on my maintenance plan. This is additional monthly or bi-monthly and annual income. In addition to that, it opens us up to having the ceramic coating conversation later on, a year from now, 2 years from now, where it might be more appropriate based on what he wants, based on his expectations of the vehicle, etc., etc., etc. I would highly encourage you guys to approach customers this way, and that is a real life description and kind of verbatim way that I would hold the conversation on a phone regarding a new customer and a ceramic coating. Now, moving on, after the agitation wash, I'm going to leave the water on the car because I'm going to be using my iron decontaminant from Renegade, which brings me to the giveaway. Guys, if you want to enter the giveaway to win a gallon size of the iron chemical decontamination from their professional detailer series at Renegade, all you have to do is go below in the YouTube description box, click the Instagram link, make sure you are following Wilson Auto Detailing on Instagram, and after you follow Wilson Auto Detailing on Instagram, go below this video and make a comment letting me know, number one, your favorite ceramic coating and why, and tell me how often you use it. If you've never applied a ceramic coating, just comment below and tell me whether or not you are trying to get into ceramics. I would love to hear your feedback, and we'll be picking a winner who is, number one, following Wilson Auto Detailing on Instagram, and number two, has also commented those things down below in the YouTube comments. Now, just to give you guys a little bit of practicality, how to use this product best on the paint, I like to spray it very liberally all over the windows, paint, black trim, everything you can think of, and then I use my pressure washer very lightly, and I go around the whole truck and I do a light mist just to introduce a little bit more lubricity to the paint, letting that product move on its own around the paint a little bit more. After that, you saw I got my wash mitt with a little bit of car soap on it, and I very quickly go around the paint and just agitate the chemical a very, very little bit with my mitt. I let it sit for just a little bit longer, and then I hose it off. Oftentimes, I will disconnect my pressure washer when I am hosing off the Iron X because I want to make sure that the iron decontaminant comes off fully as much as it possibly can. I don't want to leave any of the product on the paint. And a lot of times when you just use a garden hose and kind of a garden nozzle, you can flood the paint a little bit easier than with a pressure washer that introduces a lot of air with the water that it's spraying, and it ends up being a little bit easier to make sure that you flood the paint and really take off all of that product. After that, guys, I know what you're thinking, Luke, why aren't you drying the paint? Aren't you going to get water spots? Well, yes, I'm getting a few water spots here and there on the windows and on some parts of the paint, but because I am going to be correcting this paint tomorrow and the next day, any water spot that forms is going to be so surface level and it's not going to be etched into the clear coat. It's going to easily either come off with the clay bar, which I'm using right now, or it's going to come off in the paint correction phase the next couple days. I am using a awesome drying towel that I will be hooking up with all of the products and tools used in this video below in the YouTube description box, and the Optimum No Rinse distilled water solution. 1 capful of Optimum No Rinse with a 32-ounce bottle full of distilled water as my clay lubricant. Now, you might be wondering, why did you use the iron decontaminant before a clay bar? Should you do the clay bar first? Should you do iron decontamination first? And this is an endless debate in the detailing world that I really don't care. I do both because I like to test both. I have never in all of my paint correction and ceramic coating days ever been able to tell a difference when you use one in front of the other or one behind the other. So I would simply say do whatever you want to do in the moment. Though, of course, if you go to the detailing forums, they will crucify you for doing what they don't think you should be doing. Now, guys, at this point in the video, this is a very important part of the process. I am coating the sidewalls of the tires and the wheel wells in a very specific type of coating I always use when I'm using a ceramic coating on any sort of bigger vehicle. This is Renegade's all-terrain landslide coating. This is not just a regular tire dressing, it is actually a coating. It's why I'm using the words. You simply spray it on the sidewalls of the tires as well as the wheel wells if there's any sort of black trim or rubber area that could be deeply blackened in the interior of the wheel well. I'm not going to be spraying it on the metal, but you can see how specific I'm being and how liberal I'm being with the product, making sure I use plenty of it. I'm going to walk away, let it dry just from dripping and being in the sun, and I'm doing it on on day 1, even though we're not putting the ceramic coating on until day 4, simply because I want this product to have plenty of time to dry. I'm also going to be putting a second coating on tomorrow, so it's perfect for me to go ahead and apply the first one today, have it plenty of time to dry, as well as any overspray that gets on the paint will be taken care of with the paint prep before we do the ceramic coating. So all of this is a very specific sequence for a very specific reason. Then I'm going to touch up this area here on both sides of the paint. Because it's made up of black trim and chrome, I need to attack it in a way where both of those materials get cleaned like they should be. So I am going to be spraying it with my hose, then I'm going to be using Meguiar's Wheel Brightener diluted 5:1 on the entire thing, using my detailing brush to scrub it, agitate it. That's going to make sure the chrome is really pretty, really shiny and clean afterwards. And then I'm taking my 50-50 alcohol and distilled water solution. I'm using the 50-50 alcohol sort of IPA wash to clean the black trim, not just on that specific area, but also all of the black trim, including these tire flaps and anywhere black trim is on the exterior of the paint, because I am going to be restoring the black trim in just a second. So the process that you just saw on the other side of the paint with the Meguiar's Wheel Brightener 5:1, agitating with the detailing brush, hosing it off, and then using the 50-50 IPA wash to make sure that the black trim is totally clean before it's restored is exactly what I'm going to do here. Now you might be wondering why I'm going to be restoring the black trim today. Well, in many ways, the way I think about doing this and the way I've always done things in my detailing world is very specific sequence. I want to prepare and restore the black trim today because essentially I want to do all of the things I can do to the paint other than preparing it by cleaning it, because that's obvious, but anything else that needs to be done, for example, the black trim restoration or the tire coating that could possibly get overspray or kind of mark on the paint, I want to make sure that gets done today before the paint correction starts, simply because when the paint correction starts, the only thing I want to be worrying about wiping off of the paint is the compound and the polish. I don't want to have to wipe off any overspray or marks from any other product I'm using. So essentially, I'm using today not only to prepare the paint, but also to make sure that we take care of every part of the exterior that needs to be taken care of other than the paint correction itself, so that when it comes time tomorrow and the next day, the only thing I have to worry about wiping on and off the paint are the compound and the polishes that I'm using. Now, for the black trim restoration, I'm using Solution Finish. Solution Finish is one of my favorite black trim restoration products. It's essentially just a dye, and I'm using a foam paintbrush as well as some other foam kind of spongy applicators in different areas, and you do need a bit of an array of different applicators depending on the type of crevice, crack area that you're trying to restore, because it is difficult to reach in between some of these areas. One of the things that really needs to be thought about when applying a ceramic coating are some of these other, maybe what we consider less important areas of the car in terms of a ceramic coating, but they become very important when you are applying a ceramic coating, simply because if we did not restore the black trim and we did not use a really awesome kind of bling bling tire coating on the sidewalls like we're doing, when the paint was corrected and the ceramic coating is applied, because of how poppin' the truck would look, you would see the faded black trim even more so than you did before. The things that were not done would stand out even more than they did before because of how incredible the paint itself looks. Because of that, when you're determining the kind of ceramic coating business that you're going to be operating and the kind of conversations that you're going to have with your customers, you need to make sure you're thinking about these things. This is something I did not think about until a couple years into applying ceramic coatings, when I kept seeing the pattern come up. So make sure you guys learn from my mistakes. When you are dealing with a ceramic coating and communicating the ins and outs of a ceramic coating to a customer, you need to have a list of specific areas on the exterior that also need to be taken care of in specific ways if you're going to apply a ceramic coating, because from a visual aspect, the customer actually might be disappointed with certain things after the ceramic coating is applied if they're not done. And this black trim is actually the perfect example of that. If I did not communicate with my customer on the front hand that the black trim would need to be restored and therefore incorporated into the price of the detail as a whole, then I could have finished, the ceramic coating could have been done, but he would have noticed that black trim being kind of essentially not looking good, not uniform and faded, and against the amazing paint and amazing ceramic coating, it becomes really obvious. So these are small things, but they become very important in the detailing world, and there's something that you can learn from me and my mistakes so you don't make them as well. Now, I know everybody is wondering, what do you charge for a job like this? So I will break that down very simply. All in all, this job came to $1,800, and I'll break down line by line exactly what that is. Of course, like I said, that is including minor things like the black trim restoration, the specific coating I'm using on the wheel wells, as well as the sidewall of the tires. There is a fair amount of black trim on the exterior of this truck, as you are going to see as the video continues here, because I am restoring every single part of the black trim. None of it was left out. But the $1,800 also includes things that you guys might not be thinking of, which is the fact that some of the products I'm using on this car, apart from the ceramic coating on day 4, are actually pretty expensive products. So I want to make sure that I'm not just compensated for my time, but I'm also compensated for the nicer products that I'm having to use because of the nature of the beast of the specific detail here. Now, yes, I spread this detail out over 4 days. Like I said in the beginning, that was not necessary, but essentially the customer said, listen, Luke, I do not need this truck back anytime soon. You can take your time with it. And because of how I like to divide up my time during the day when I'm detailing, videoing, editing, running my online business, and all of the other things that I'm doing, dividing this up over 4 days and being able to divide it up into 4 different videos, number 1 being the preparation, number 2 being stage 1 correction, number 3 being stage 2 correction, and the 4th day being the application of the coating itself, it just worked out best that way. It also allowed me to basically do my best work because, yes, it gets pretty tiring applying all of this stuff and doing all of this work. So this way, I'm actually able to conserve some of my energy. I don't have to work all day every day, and I can work a quarter or half a day each day and be done in 4 days. So when you have an $1,800 job and you divide it up over 4 days, you come out to about $450 per day over that 4-day period to get to that $1,800. And I'll emphasize again, it's not something I had to do. It's just something I wanted to do. But you might be thinking, well, what's the minimum amount of days you could accomplish this over? And to be honest with you, 2 days would even be pushing it. 3 days would be very possible and easy, but I would need probably around 3 days to get this done, even if I didn't want to take the 4 days. Even a weekend would be pretty difficult just because we are doing a lot of very specific stuff, as you can see with things like the black trim, making sure everything is coated and everything is done the right way. Now, guys, I want to emphasize again, make sure you go below in the YouTube description box and grab my free guide to starting your detailing business for under $500, because as someone who wasted a ton of time back in the day learning the chemicals, the tools, the products I needed to use without having any guidance and having to waste a ton of time and money, I can tell you it is very, very frustrating with no guidance and having to learn things by yourself. And while, yes, you guys have a ton of information at your fingertips today regarding the detailing world because of social media, a lot of times you have 1,000 different voices talking to you at the same time, so you just don't know which one to listen to. Please go grab that guide. It's totally free to you, and I spent a lot of time putting that together to make sure that you guys who are starting out could get good information. Now, like I said, guys, I already cleaned out the bed, but I am standing in it in order to get certain black trim pieces and things like that done. While, yes, I'm very specific with the type of sequence that I do things in so I don't have to go back over things, when it comes to detailing out bed liner and the bed of a truck, essentially, like I said in the beginning, it always makes sense to get all of the major stuff and really detail it out pretty well in the beginning so that afterwards, when all is said and done, all I really have to do is take a rag back there, wipe up the footprints, and I can be totally done. Now, as somebody who applies a lot of ceramic coatings, I want to get into this for the last 45 seconds here. Yes, ceramic coatings are an amazing thing to introduce into your detailing business because, of course, they are a very high ticket item. They're also sweeping not only the detailing industry and have been for several years, but they're also beginning to really sweep the consumer market so that regular people are actually using the ceramic language when they call me and things like that. However, I will say this as well. You should build a really good foundation of your detailing business with maintenance clients, with regular details, nothing too fancy, but having regular income coming in before you start jumping into things like ceramic coatings, simply because your focus should be building the foundation. So many people want to get into ceramic coating so quickly without building a good foundation, and it ends up hurting you, splitting your focus long term. And with that being said, finally, we are done with the first stage. Alright guys, that is it for this first video preparation. Stay tuned for the next video, which is going to be stage 1 paint correction. Guys, in the next video, the winner of the iron decontaminant from Renegade will be announced, so make sure you stay tuned. If you guys want to get your hands on any of the products or tools used in this video, all of that stuff will be linked up in the YouTube description box below as always, and make sure to grab my free guide to starting your auto detailing business for under $500 below, because I lay out every single tool and product that you need in the top 10 list to start your detailing business without wasting money on things that don't work and they're going to gather dust in your garage. And as always, from Luke here at Wilson Auto Detailing, keep working hard, and I'll see you guys in the next video.